My world fell apart, but my mom made it worse. This one is going to be a hard story to tell. I've written about my parents in here before. I grew up with my mom and stepdad, but even though my dad was a little more supportive, he still wasn't someone I could always rely on. I'm not going to go into every single thing that happened, but I'll just say this. Between the ages of 9 and 13, I was in and out of the hospital constantly with a stress-induced stomach condition. I was so anxious that I would throw up from sheer fear until I was completely dehydrated and needed to be hospitalized. Let that give you an idea of how badly my mom treated me. And no, she never hit me. But she genuinely seemed to enjoy humiliating me and making me cry. The moment I turned 18, I cut contact with her. We tried to reconnect a few times over the years, but it always ended the same way. But this story is harder for another reason. When I finally escaped her, I met a guy I really loved. And he loved me too, at least at the beginning. We were together for 7 years and lived together for 3 of them. I was the happiest person in the world. Our relationship was so stable, calm, and honest. And let's just say things were great in the bedroom too. Smile. I thought this was how my life would always be. A few months before our wedding, his parents suggested that we move in with them for a while. They had a big house with 2 spare bedrooms, so we could take one of them. The idea was to save some money, and they even offered to help us with part of the down payment for a place of our own. Of course, we said yes. We moved in with them, and the wedding was already planned. Life felt perfect. Literally a week after we moved in, my beloved didn't come home for the night. I called him. I was worried. At 4 a.m., he picked up the phone, completely drunk, and started yelling the most awful insults at me. He told me to F off. When he came back around 9 a.m., he went to sleep in another room. He woke up with the obvious hangover, but when I tried to talk to him, he broke up with me. He said he had another girl, and she lived in the same area as his parents. When we were living in another city, he couldn't see her. But now, after last night, he realized he wanted her, not me. My world came crashing down. But that's not the point of this post. First to react was my father. He immediately came over and took me to his place. For one night. Winking face. Yes, I'm really grateful to him. Because I had nowhere to go, and I needed that strong man who marched into what was essentially a stranger's house, and used his authority to make it clear that anyone who hurt me should be on guard. He took me away with a few harsh words directed at my almost husband. It was somehow comforting. But I still didn't have a place to stay for longer. Someone must have told my mom about the whole situation, and she actually got in touch with me. I was in total shock. It felt like animals were suddenly speaking with human voices at Christmas. She wrote to me saying that she was out of the country, but our old apartment was vacant. She said if I had nowhere to go, I could stay there for a week. I sincerely thanked her, and that's what I did. It basically saved my life. Because during that time, I was able to recover a little, and I found a rental apartment closer to my work. But for some naive reason, I thought that maybe this experience had stirred something in my mom. Maybe some parental feelings? On the last day, I made a wonderful meal and sent her a message saying that if she felt like it, and if she agreed, I had made something delicious and would love to talk to her. I told her that life was really tough for me right now, and that I could really use a conversation with my mom. I also mentioned that I had found a rental place and would be leaving soon, but maybe we could meet. I got a message from her saying that she was already leaving the airport and heading home, and that I had literally 30 minutes to leave the apartment. She said if she saw me, I'd regret ever being born. Oh, panic mode. I was packed, the apartment was cleaned, but I still had some small things to take care of. I didn't expect to have to leave that quickly. A moment later I got another message. There's no traffic, I'm almost there. You have a maximum of 5 minutes, and you better not be there when I arrive. I shoved the entire dinner into the fridge and ran out as fast as I could. I was literally by the exit door when I saw a taxi pull up on the street, and my mom was inside. In a panic, I threw myself into a big bush with my bag. It was a long and thick shrub, and hid behind it. There was no way I would have made it to the street in time. I'm lying on the ground, clutching my bag to my chest, hidden behind the bush. My mom walks by just a few meters away from me, not alone. With her lover. I knew him, they had been meeting occasionally for the last 10 years. He was one of many, but I knew all of them. That's why I wasn't supposed to be there. Everything's clear now. I trudged along with my bag, which held my whole world, my shattered life. With a broken heart and feeling more alone than I ever had in my life, straight to my office. Because my new apartment was only available the next day, I decided to go back to work and sleep there. And 2 hours later, I got a message from my mom. "The salmon you prepared for dinner was exquisite." I didn't reply. He threw a cup at me. Okay, so here's another story from my time working at the very popular theme park in Florida. This incident is one that almost made me quit. I was working as a cashier at the bakery store area of the resort I worked at. It was really busy and my line was long. I was a fast cashier, so I was moving through the guests quickly. I hear an older man and woman arguing with each other as they come up through my line. I mind my business as I ring up their things. The man says with an attitude that he needs a cup for coffee. I grab one, sit it on the counter and ring it up with the rest of their things. I tell them their total and they pull out their room card to pay. Room cards were connected to guests' IDs, and guests could also connect a debit or credit card to them to make things easier during their vacation. I go through the process of charging the card, but the computer won't read it. I do it multiple times and still nothing. Older woman. This is the second card that's doing this. Older man. Well, what am I supposed to do about it? She's the one that doesn't know what she's doing. Referring to me. Me. Flushed face. Sir, do you have the debit or credit card associated with the room card? I can just use that. Older man. If I had that, I wouldn't have handed you the room key. Why can't you do your job? At this point, I'm trying to calm down and remain not ignorant. A nice guest behind the man chimes in and says to the older gentleman that if it's happened 2 times already, it's probably because they are putting it next to their cell phone or something else that is demagnetizing it, because it happened to him as well. Older man to nice young gentleman. WHO asked you. The young man raises his hand and says sorry sarcastically, while other guests look at the older couple like they're nuts and look at me with sympathy. Me. Sir, ma'am, do you have another form of payment? The man throws the stuff they had angrily on the counter, and his wife follows, knocking the cup on the ground. Some people leave the line. The welcome desk ladies some feet behind me stare on in bewilderment. Older man. I don't even want this crap anymore. All I wanted was a coffee. Me wanting them to just leave my line and my nerves. Here, I'll give you the coffee for free. I hand him another cup which he attempts to snatch, causing this one to also drop to the ground. He picks it up angrily and throws it at me. Older man, I need another one. Y'all, I'm shaking. What I'm feeling at that moment wasn't anger, it was wrath. I'm brown but my face and neck were red. I then understood why God didn't give humans superpowers, because I would have reduced that entire place to ashes, starting with the older couple. Everything would have gone up in flames. I grabbed another cup and sat it on the counter. Before handing it to the man, I calmly spoke to him. Me. Sir, instead of acting like this, all you had to do was ask. You see that desk behind me? They can print you a new card if you need it. Him and his wife seemed to deflate but said nothing as I handed him the cup. I then asked them to leave my line and they walked away. The nice man and his woman looked at me with pity, and the woman said she was sorry I had to go through that. I managed to ring up their things but couldn't continue, so I called my manager on the phone that was next to the cash register. She answered and instantly knew by my voice something was wrong. I told her I needed a break. I couldn't be there right now. She said okay, and she was on the way. She came out a minute later and told me to take a breather. I couldn't even make it to the worker break room bathroom before the tears started, so I ran to the guest bathroom into a stall and cried there. I cried not because I was sad but because I was angry and had to suppress it. I was boiling over like a pot of water on the inside. Throughout that week, no matter where I saw that man and his wife, I gave them the nastiest stank eye I could muster up. Suddenly, they were super nice to everyone else, refused to make eye contact with me longer than a few seconds, and they never apologized, though they looked guilty whenever they saw me. He got arrested over a receipt. In my 20s, I worked for a very popular theme park in Florida. I worked quick service food at a resort one year. One day, I was placed in my favorite position, pizza back. Basically, I was responsible for making pizza, baked citus, and breadsticks. The resort guests could call in special pizza orders, and guests could order pizza at the counter as well. Don't ask me why, but I rocked at this position. I was very quick and consistent, so I was often placed back there to my delight, as there was air conditioning and a walk-in fridge. Anyone who's done kitchen work knows how most professional kitchens feel as though they're bordering on hell's territory. I'm in the back keeping a steady pace when a tall man with light brown hair and a beer gut starts arguing with my coworker C up front at Pizza Front. The man claims he had been waiting for his pizza for 40 minutes. When a guest orders a pizza, they are given a copy of the order and a wireless pager that will go off when their pizza is ready. Since the pizza is the most expensive item on the menu, and there had been people attempting to claim multiple, it became policy to have the guest pay for the pizza first. Once the pager went off, they had to bring it back with the receipt so we could mark it and give them their pizza. The receipt also has a time on it. C asks to see the man's receipt to check the time. He gets angry and yells at her. He screams that he wants his damn pizza. C became flustered and comes back there asking me where his pizza was. I told her that no one waits 40 minutes when I'm back there, and that his pizza would be ready when it's ready. She refused to go back up there because he was so rude, so I went instead. I asked him politely for his receipt as it had a timestamp. Me, sir, I apologize for the wait. May I see your receipt, please? Man, no. Why do I need to show my receipt? Me, sir, it's our policy to ask every guest for a receipt before they receive their pizza. Man, that's bullshit. First that woman asks, now you. Are you accusing me of stealing a F-King pizza? Me, no sir, it's our policy. Man, F-Sika your policy. My name? Give me my damn pizza. C calls our small and adorable manager. I'll call Rose. Rose comes up to the front and politely asks the man what's wrong. Man, I've waited almost an hour for my damn pizza, and those two beaches have enough nerve to ask for a damn receipt. Rose, sir, please don't use harsh language towards our workers, and asking for a receipt is policy. Man, I can use whatever language I want to. By this time, it's clear the man is possessed or drunk, so I call another manager. Manager, I'll call Antonio, comes out and joins Rose to figure out the situation. The man continues to cuss us out. Y'all, we are bitches, and he plans to get us fired. He also plans to get Rose and Antonio fired as well. Apparently, we are accusing him of stealing by asking for a receipt. He cussed more vulgarly and loudly. People are covering their children's ears or leaving. The front desk staff looked dazed. Two guys that were managers of the gift shop and Messi called security. Security shows up and takes over. Security. Sir, are you a guest of this resort? Man. Yeah, what about it? Security. Well, we need to verify your identity. Can you show us your ID or room card, please? Good Lord, it starts all over again. The man refuses and cusses the security out. He calls them fake cops and says they can't actually do anything to him. He's going to get all of us fired. The fake cops threaten to call Orange County Police if he doesn't comply. Man, call Orange County. They called Orange County Police. The man is arrested in the middle of the food court. Once the cops show up, he miraculously calms down and shows his room ID. His wife and 8-year-old son were at the pool. A worker had to go get her. She was a blonde woman and pretty. She walked in, looked at him, and walked back outside. She had an expression that said, "I'm done." His face dropped as they walked him out in handcuffs. Due to policy, the whole family had to leave that day with no refund and was banned for life. They had come there for their son's 8th birthday. Edit. For anyone wondering, the man had a receipt crumpled in his pocket. He had waited 10 minutes, rolling eyes face. My guess is he was upset about something else and was just taking it out on the world. Entitled neighbor called police to my parents' house for my husband hunting on their land. My parents are retired and live in a little house on about 7 acres of land. It's not a big plot of land, but it's cozy and private, just outside of town, and about 6 acres are woods with a creek running through the center. It's really a beautiful piece of ground. With the woods and creek, they get lots of animals going through, including deer. A couple of years ago, for Christmas, we got my parents a few trail cams so they could see what's passing through. My mom likes photography and has gotten lots of photos of deer, foxes, wild turkeys, coyotes, and other wildlife. As you may imagine, this is prime hunting land. My husband occasionally enjoys hunting and has gone down there for deer season a few times, but not frequently. My parents have had several people stop and ask them to hunt their land, and they always say no. Frankly, it's just barely big enough to legally hunt, and they don't want people all over their property. They're fine with my husband hunting occasionally since he's family, but that's it. There's a neighbor down the road who badly wants to hunt on my parents' land and has been told no repeatedly. Last year, my husband found a tree stand in the woods that wasn't his. Unfortunately, the trail cam's SD cards were missing, so there was no proof, but we suspect the neighbor. My parents travel a lot, so it'd be easy for someone to sneak onto the property. My husband took the tree stand down, and the cameras were replaced with new ones that don't need SD cards. Last month, before deer season started, the neighbor again asked my parents for permission to hunt and was told no. My husband decided he'd try for a deer this year, so he got a permit and went out on the first day of deer season. Within 10 minutes, he shot a decent-sized buck. My dad, who had been awake and heard the shotgun blast, came out to help. My husband field-dressed the deer, and then my dad, being the nicest guy you'd ever meet, got his tractor, drove it into the woods, scooped up the deer in the bucket, and put it into the bed of my husband's truck. About an hour later, a county sheriff's deputy and a game warden showed up at my parents' house. They said they'd received a complaint about unauthorized hunting and deer poaching. The officer said the neighbor, and gave his name, called, claiming that no hunting was allowed on the land. He'd seen someone go into the woods with a shotgun, heard a shot, and watched an orange tractor pick up the deer and put it into a black truck. In our state, poaching can lead to confiscation of firearms, hunting gear, and even vehicles used. Clearly, the neighbor was hoping they'd take my husband's gun, truck, and my dad's tractor. My dad quickly set the record straight. This is my house and my land. The orange tractor is mine, and the black truck belongs to my son-in-law, who has permission to hunt here anytime he wants. My husband produced his valid deer tags, and everything checked out. Screw that neighbor who had to be watching the woods with binoculars. There's no way he could have seen all that from his yard otherwise. Edit. For those asking, yes, my husband deer hunts with a shotgun. In our state, deer hunting with a rifle is illegal. He uses shotgun deer slugs, not buckshot. This is normal here. The area is too flat and open for rifles. Bullets could travel too far. Shotgun slugs drop the deer quickly with no suffering, don't leave pellets in the meat, and are safer in populated areas. I didn't pick up the pieces of glass from the floor because I work a lot. Okay, I don't know if she fits the label of being entitled, but I'm so mad and pissed off right now that I need to vent here. I, 20F, live with my older sister, 27F. We live in the house that used to belong to our parents before one of them passed away, and the other moved in with a new partner. Since my sister was already planning to move in with her girlfriend and I was old enough, they ended up leaving the house to my sister and her girlfriend. I won't go into the abandonment issues and the mess this caused, but believe me, it was a lot of bad stuff. Last year, she and her girlfriend broke up, and things got tighter at home. I started working and became 100% responsible for paying for groceries and some bills like water and internet. An important detail is that I worked as an in-office administrative assistant during peak hours, while my sister has always worked from home doing Instagram posts for stores. You know, those story ads with promotions and stuff. One thing she always does is act as if her job is extremely exhausting. Not saying it's not, but I would get on packed buses after a full day of work, come home, wash dishes without complaining, and make food, while she, who stayed home all day, would complain about putting water in the dishes she dirtied. Side note: I know these jobs can be tiring and fast-paced, but nothing will convince me that you can't spend a few seconds to put water in a frying pan. I'm currently unemployed and looking for a job, but unlike other days, I woke up wanting to clean and organize the house. I hung up the clothes she asked me to, I took out the trash, pulled some weeds in the backyard, and washed the dishes 3 times. I even had to rush to take the clothes off the line when it started raining. And her? She put the clothes in the washing machine and turned it on. On top of that, she left glass shards on the bathroom floor, which I almost stepped on, and then told me to pick them up. When I complained, she said she was too busy working to pick up glass. Complained about old food in the fridge, saying, "I can't take care of your responsibilities because I work too much." Side note: at the time, I was hanging up wet clothes from the rain, which should have been 100% her responsibility, and washing dishes, which were supposed to be mine. But in her head, I should always help her when she needs it, and I should never ask for help with my responsibilities. Mind you, all the food she worked so hard, like a poor farmer toiling under the sun, to remove from the fridge were meals she cooked, stored, and didn't eat. But in her head, I was the one responsible for throwing them away. Anyway, here I am, taking a break, looking at memes, and job hunting online, when she barges into my room to complain about a dish that wasn't properly washed. She tiredly explained how I should have done the task using water and soap, and said she couldn't put her mashed potatoes in there because it was greasy. Then I go to the kitchen, and this BTCH left the dish dry, without a single drop of water or soap. So yeah, this text got long, but it served as a venting diary. If you read this far, send a "go f seek yourself" to my sister, complain about her, or try to defend her. Either way, it'll be entertaining.
Thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, make sure to give a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring the bell for more videos. See you soon again.